Good afternoon. Again, I am Teacher Arthene, a grade 1 teacher from Xavier School San Juan, and I am here to talk to you about how we can develop virtual classroom routines among our students and teachers. Plus, a little bonus, some things that we can share for our parents, especially to those who are watching with us right now. I'm sure that these things or the classes that you attend to are kind of a bit overwhelming sometimes. Overwhelming rather. Okay? So, online, distance, learning. Oh my goodness. Cheers. I remember the first time when I saw or heard one of our teachers talking about this. I just felt overwhelmed, excited, anxious, I don't know, ready to learn. So much or so many things were going on. There were a lot of things on my mind. As in, every time I go back to that point, I'm like, wow, na-feel ko yun lahat. So, honestly, I think this is what most of us felt when we found out that there wasn't going to be any physical classrooms this year, okay? So, fast forward to today, I'm sitting right in front of you right now, or virtually sitting in front of you right now. I am a witness as to how online distance learning is full of new and wonderful experiences as well, okay? There are also a lot of feelings that come along with this new setup. So lahat po ng nararamdaman nyo, normal na normal, okay? So, it's something new for most of us. Please remember that. When we are not used to something, we try to develop a routine or a certain strategy as to how we can be able to adapt, okay? In this case, one of the biggest questions to ask is, how will my student or child, okay, adapt to this new normal schooling? That's our favorite word, new normal. We need to know how we will establish routines so that children can get used to this new environment and be able to learn efficiently. So, let's learn about that. I will not sugarcoat anything, teachers and parents, if you're watching again. It's crazy hard and it can be difficult, but remember that it's not impossible, okay? Remote learning actually helps reinforce lifelong skills, okay? Such as time and energy management, independence, and creative thinking. If I didn't believe in this, okay, I wouldn't be in front of you right now giving this talk. Because after around 3 weeks of doing classes with my kids or my boys, I feel happiest more than ever to teach again. It really feels different to see kids virtually, kahit na virtual yan. Okay? Yes, I think with the bags, you don't see it clearly, no? With all the tiredness and sleepless nights combined, I am still happy teaching. Okay? All right, let's go straight to our topic. Okay, let's talk about setting up virtual classroom routines for our students. Huh? You can still think of that while thinking about all the training, all the lesson plans, all the revisions? Teachers, yes, okay? And we should always establish this first when meeting our students, especially when it's the first time. I'm not sure if first time nyo na po ba na mami-meet sila next week or you already met them, but it's never too late to start doing or actually implementing or creating routines. Okay? All right. So, I believe that schools before this pandemic already had a certain schedule or routine to follow. If we don't establish these with them, learning could be hard to achieve. Routines are important for kids to realize that, this is still school. Oh, I have to take this thing seriously even if I'm just at home. These routines are established so that we can create a happy and healthy virtual classroom. All right? Hey, today I'll be sharing some routines that we can still take to the virtual classroom. Some may take longer than before. I think some teachers know this already. Yung dati pong 5 minutes that we do, it could really like get extended up to 15 minutes. Okay? But some may still be done at the same pace, okay? You will see how I do it in my classroom, and I will also tell you how long it takes. I'll share the routine, I'll share the duration, and I can also share the apps or activities that you can also do. Okay? I usually do this. Please take note of this. I usually do this during the class interaction, or what some preschool teachers call it circle time. So it takes around 30 minutes. Okay? All right. So, the first one, the most important actually, is checking the attendance, okay? And attendance is still very important in our setup. Why? We need to know who missed certain lessons or who was late. Before, okay, we used to take 2 to 3 minutes in checking the attendance. Call the last name, or however you do it in your class. They could just raise their hand and say present, or, during circle time, you see them. But right now, we are really pressed for time. So how can we do this swiftly and efficiently? Let's see. So what I do is that I log in 15 minutes before my class to set everything in order, okay? Check your audio, check your video, if you have a second device, if you have a class list for marking, okay? Next, flash your PowerPoint already and admit students one by one. Why is that? Because when you admit students one by one, you can actually mark them in your class list already. So, to note lang po ha, this is only for those who are pressed for time, the ones that I'm saying. But, if you have circle time, and if you have the luxury of time, you can also do the attendance part during the part where you call them one by one, or, I don't know, it really depends on the time that you have, okay? So, teachers and parents, I will show you how my screen looks like before starting a class, before the chaos, okay? So this is what I see on my screen before admitting my students. So reminders are already shown. Take note, teachers. Try to make your reminders short and visual. Remember that these are young kids, okay? I admit my students one by one, and their faces usually appear on this part of the screen, this part, the next slide area. I actually play the Sunflower song, if you're familiar with that. Of course, it's the kids' version, yes. And I put it on loop until 8:30. So I start admitting by 8:25. Why? This is to keep them company in the 5 minutes that I check attendance. But teacher, what will they do for 5 minutes? What if they are bored? Okay? As you can see, I have a prepare section here. I usually ask them to prepare the materials that they need for the day. You can use photos if they are non-readers. Okay? Right, so that's for checking attendance. Next, we go to the classroom rules. But you already say this, right, during orientation? Yeah, you do. But I just want to elaborate on how important this is for our students, especially during this time. Remember, it's something that they are not used to doing. Whatever we are doing now, they are not used to it, okay? Explaining it one at a time will not help. Explaining it one time only. If you explain it one time, it will not stick to them. They won't remember it, okay? This is why I always allot, a certain period or a certain time during our class routines to remind them of the rules and not just show them on the board, okay, or on the screen, right? Why is this so, no? I've seen some classes do it in a way where they just flash it on the screen like that and then they proceed with the lesson. That's okay if the boys can already read, okay? But as young kids, we have to establish these rules with them every day until they understand why we do it. That's why I made it a part of our class routine. There was this one time when I asked them to tell me a story and everyone had their mics unmuted. They all talked all together. I processed them and there they understood why we had to follow unmuting and unmuting. That's why it's important also that we explain the reason behind the rules. Why should we follow these rules? Okay? My boys and I are actually in our 3rd week. Okay? Whenever I get to this part, to the classroom rules part, I always jumble up the facts so that I can see if they are really listening. So, teachers, again, just to note, they are very young kids. I don't need to elaborate on how much patience we need when we talk to them. Okay? All right? Let's move on. I will show you my screen. How does it look like? How do the reminders look like? See? Okay. So, I usually flash this right after I meet with them. Okay? It really helps, okay, that you have a team that always helps us in technology. This is actually a template from a good friend. Shout out to teacher Justin Bacera, okay? So, let's go back to the rules. I usually start with looking eyes and listening ears. I think this is a favorite for preschool teachers, okay? I didn't include hands anymore because they're just with them. I mean, we're not really aware as to what they're doing with their hands. But yeah, that's the most important thing to note right now. I emphasize how important it is to actually stay alert. I usually let them do an action between sessions rather, just to check if they are still with me. So for example, we're doing a lesson and then I say, can you give me a salute if you're still listening to Teacher Arthene? If they do that, that means they are alert and they are still listening. Okay? Now, next, I always tell them about the mute button and the unmute button. Nako po, favorite nila yan, especially when they have something really good to tell you. You know how our kids are, okay? This Wi-Fi, sorry, my head is there, but this is a Wi-Fi icon. This represents what they will do if ever they lose the connection. Why is this important? Because internet stability and connection is very unpredictable nowadays. So they have to know. You have to remind them every single day what they should do in case their internet gets disrupted or they got kicked out of, not really kicked out, they got disconnected from the session. They have to know those things, okay? An interesting part here in our classroom rules would be our hand signals, okay? So, what do these signify? If I see a boy raise the number 1, that means he needs to drink water or pee, okay? But if the boy signals me with the number 2, that means he is having a tech problem. What does that mean? Maybe he can't hear me, okay? Alright, or I usually remind them to use the chat box, or for the guardians to use the chat box if ever they have a concern, so that they don't just unmute the microphone. Okay? This is why I really devote my time in talking about these in class, so that they know what to do. Okay? Now, next. Of course, after telling them those rules, as a Catholic school, we usually start our day with a prayer. Yes, I can also actually select a prayer leader for the day. All right. So as a teacher who really likes writing, I didn't make use of the app or any app here. I actually flashed them this one. Their names are here, and it kind of makes them more excited to see their names on something written. Okay, but if you don't want to do a prayer, you can also do a mindfulness activity here, right? Let me show you this one next. Okay, so what did I do? Okay, I sent a copy to the parents. Why? So they can practice at home. Since they are only grade 1, I want them to be familiar with the prayer already. Malay nyo po, no? Someday they might get it memorized. They might memorize it already. Next, actually a morning prayer helps everyone calm down. Okay? And teacher's discretion on choosing. So what I use again is this one, because I really like writing. But since we are already online, you have a lot of options. Number 1, you can choose the most behaved kid or the one with the best praying position. This works a lot because really, like, you see a lot of them sitting tall like this and closing their eyes and peeking like this. Okay? Or number 2, you can use any random picker online. This excites the boys very much. So I won't really recommend it because it makes them all rowdy. Okay? Next. The next part of our routine is the virtual hug time. So the duration is 1 minute. What kind of routine is this? This is the point where Teacher Arthene or I stop sharing my screen and just let them do gallery view. Why? Because most of the time, I share my screen, ask them to do speaker view so that they don't get distracted. So I just really want them to have a chance to really see each other and say hi. They need that too. Okay? So, due to privacy reasons, I can't show my kids to you, but I promise when the kids see each other, their smiles are super big, as in. I don't let them talk during this part because we have a health break already to do that. But it'll be really good for them to see each other. Right? Next, after their virtual hug time, I show them our schedule for the day. You just need to show them what they'll be expecting, okay? You can also show the materials needed for each session, like this one. I already placed the name of the teacher. I also placed the health break there. This is for them to be, kind of aware lang as to what to expect to their day. Okay? Next, after telling them the schedule for the day, I really emphasize on the reminders of the day. So it really depends on how many reminders that you have, okay? This is also where you can follow up on activities that they haven't submitted yet, or if the parents emailed you with concerns and you feel that a lot of parents have the same concern, you can already voice that out during this time, okay? So I usually flash my reminders like this. So reminders for me, in my case, for the first 2 weeks were like this. Were about seesaw and chatting the class assist. Because again, I had to make them remember. Okay? Right now, I don't flash these anymore, actually. When I have an upcoming quiz or there are still boys who haven't submitted their activities, this is where I insert them already. Okay? Alright. Next one. Actually, the first part was teachers' reminders, more of the teacher guiding the students about their day or how their day will go, okay? For the next part of that 30-minute circle time or class interaction, I actually give them activities because I want to make sure to give my students time to enjoy themselves before our classes start. One big reason for this is because I also want them to be excited for school. I want to hear their laugh. I want to see their smile because they really have to be engaged. Okay? So, I make sure to give my students time to see their points in Class Dojo. I think you've heard of that before. I also get to choose the little teacher. I can also give them games connected to some lessons that we have. And sometimes I also let them watch the videos that they submit on Seesaw. Just let me share. So this is the first one, Class Dojo. I believe that there was already one talk given by Mr. Playa on Class Dojo. So this is the part where they get excited because they see all their points. They really, really look forward to it. I think it's also because the reason or the the qualifications for being the little teacher is based on Class Dojo, so their points. As in, even the parents ask me for a screenshot for this, just so they can see. Okay? Next. I also choose the little teacher during this part, and then I remind them about the rules or the job of the little teacher, because I always tell them that if you don't do your job well, I can replace you. And that really, lets them step up to the job. Just like the prayer leader, I also have this one because I really, really like writing. But again, like what I said a while ago, you can either choose from Class Dojo or a random picker if you want that. Okay? Another student activity, this is very exciting, teachers. It's called Word Wall. You can actually create your own games and then you can share your screen. Just call a student. You will be the one to manipulate it so that they don't need to log in. And then play the game. So in this case, this is a math game. That's numbers 1 to 24. All they have to do is choose a number and then answer. Sometimes it could also be like, choose a number, read the word, use it in a sentence. Very, very fast. And the fact that they can all do it together, I mean, everyone will get called. That is a plus point for me already. Alright? And then, syempre po, na-excite sila. They are very, very excited when it comes to student activities. So, we also have to calm them down. After that, I usually play mindfulness because it signals that it's already time to start the class. And yes, surprisingly, the duration is only 1 minute. Okay? Why do I do mindfulness? Again, because I want to settle them down before the class and I want them to be calm. Not sleepy, but calm and mindful. Okay? Just a suggestion as well. There are 1 minute mindfulness or breathing exercises from this YouTube channel. It's called Fable Fi. And it's funny because some of my students, they do this. They really, do the, I don't know what you call this position, but they do that. And then when they open their eyes for Teacher Arthene, they feel really calm. And you'd see through the videos that they are breathing in really, really deeply. Okay. Now, and because of that, that was the first part of your day. You are now ready to teach your students whatever you want to teach them because they are already calm. Expectations have already been set. Their materials have already been prepared. And they are more than motivated to do whatever it is that you need to do. Okay? Alright, now that I have given you examples of how you can start your day, of the routines that you can do to start your day, I can also share with you the routines before ending the class. So what I do is I actually do a recap on the activities that need to be submitted. So for example, you see in your CISO class or your Google Classroom or wherever whatever LMS you're using, that some students haven't passed a certain activity yet. You can already announce that or you can already remind them. Next, there are also some announcements that need to be emphasized. For example, they need to submit a document. You can already emphasize on that, especially if the deadline is tomorrow. Okay? So dun po, you can actually flash that or explain that to them before leaving. Next, of course, I started my day with a prayer, and of course, I will end it with a prayer as well. Okay? After praying, I also show them a class dojo update because throughout the day or throughout the lessons, I usually award points to the students. And of course, syempre tumataas po yung kanilang points. Alright? That's why I always give them an update. I hope always because sometimes we also have a lot to do. And of course, the last one is to say goodbye. Okay? Yes, we also have a routine for that. Okay? So this is what I usually flash to them. I tell them to unmute and say goodbye. Because you should try to also let them hear each other's voices. I give them time during our health break, but it's also nice for them to say goodbye to each other. If you notice, I also put here like unfinished seat work, submit by 2 p.m., activities tab, check activities that you are not done with. Talaga pong I really try to remind them as much as I can. Okay? So, are we done yet, teachers? No. Actually, our day is just beginning. The day has ended, but the work still goes on. As you can see, all the things that I did here are not really required, I've attended some classes that didn't have the routines that I set with my class, like what you saw, and there is nothing wrong with that. Okay po, teachers? But let's remember that it's our job to ensure that our students enter a happy and a healthy classroom. And after having a great class day, claim it that you had a great class day, we also have to set routines for ourselves, okay, as teachers, so that we don't, end up getting swamped in work. We don't want that, right, teachers? Ayaw na ayaw po natin yan. Right? So, teacher's routine. After class, teacher, please take a deep breath. Okay, take a deep breath. Just relax. Okay, next. What do? I set this according to priority. Like, what is the most important thing that I get done? So I put here, the first thing that I should do after class is to check and upload activities. Check meaning all the synchronous activities that you did already. And upload meaning all the assignments that you will submit or let them answer. Okay? Next one for the teacher's routine. When you're done with that, please give yourself a break. Eat. Screens off, please. You also have screen time, teachers, okay? Again, what I'm sharing now is my routine as a teacher, and so far it has been working. Hindi pa naman po ako ginagabi hanggang 12 midnight. Okay? Next, download the PPTs or revise them for the day. Okay, what does that mean? Of course, for the next day, you already have new PowerPoints to be used in class. And why do I say revise? Ano yung teacher? Should I revise according to how my students need it? No. Remember po, I have a template already for my routines and reminders. What I usually do is I download it and then I insert all the slides for my reminders already. So that's what you should do. If ever you also want to have those kinds of routines like I did. Okay? Next. What's next? Please do or already accomplish other documents that need to be submitted already. So this is the time for that. If you have lesson plans that are nearing the deadline, if you need to email people, that are also connected to your teaching. Okay? Next. Why not eat again? Because you've already done so much, okay? But again, this is my routine, okay? It's just a guide for you. And lastly, you can do your other things already. All right? Again, what I presented to you right now is my routine. One tip na lang po, teachers, is to really list down and prioritize what you need to do. Okay? So that you don't forget and so that you are also organized just like your students. Again, these routines are in place or schedules are in place to make your life easier. Right? So, teachers, are we done yet? Yes. Please get some rest. Okay? Believe it or not, teachers, we are also frontliners. Okay? We also need to take care of ourselves. If we don't, who will teach these kids? Okay? So take care not just of your body, but also your mind. Give yourself a pat on the shoulder like this right now. I want you to do it. Yes. The fact that you are here learning with us, you are already doing such a great job in being a teacher. Okay? So, I'm actually nearing the end. All right. I will talk about the parent-teacher relationships. Okay? Or partnerships rather. We need them as much as they need us. Okay? The routines that we are establishing are not just to help the child, but to also help the parents as well. Because remember, we are all affected by this pandemic. Okay? Whatever app you're teaching, may it be Google Classroom, CISO, whatever LMS, Kahoot, not all your parents are aware of using them. Be as patient as you are with the kids, with their parents. And yes, same goes to all parents out there. Be patient with your teachers too. We are all trying our best. When I said that parents did not know the apps, teachers, I am serious. They need our guidance in using them. We actually allotted days for orientation in Xavier, but until now, actually, I still have parents who are quite confused and challenged, and that's okay. One time during students' activities, if you remember during the first part of the day for my grade 1 boys, before I started the class, instead of giving them updates on their class dojo, instead of giving them jobs as a little teacher, instead of playing games, I actually had a session on how to use CISO. Okay? How they can use the shapes during their numeracy block because a lot of them were actually complaining to me. They were having a hard time drawing down using a mouse. So, yes, we really have to be patient. Okay? So, these are just some routines that can actually help you and your child. So, these are for the parents already. Teachers, you can also take notes so that you can also share with your parents. Okay? Even the parents, even if parents will be there with the kids most of the time, we can still let them practice 2 things. Independence and responsibility. Remember that, parents. We can still let them practice those things even if they are young kids. Okay? Now, number 1 is setting up their own learning space. Since the teacher already announced the materials needed for the day, may it be the day before or on this day, Okay? Let the students try to get their materials on their own and place it beside them. This is so they won't need to get up and running when the teacher asks, and so that we don't waste any more time just to wait for them to get their materials. Okay? Next, wearing school clothes. Okay? Let them wear clothes that are not something they wear every day. Please remember that we are trying to give them this certain mindset that they are still attending school, which they are. Okay? Next one. Sorry for this. It says prompt more than giving the right answer. Again, prompt more than giving the right answer. Parents and teachers, you know this. There is a fine line between the two, between prompting and giving the answer, okay? Instead of giving the right answer right away, let them choose between two answers, or let them fill in the blanks, or break down the question if needed. But please do not give the right answer right away, okay? Next one. Reinforce class rules. Please help the teacher by teaching kids how to unmute with your device. You can also teach them how to share their video. It's actually very easy because it's a tap of a button only. So, they can actually do this with you. Okay? And last one, of course, for parents, I think you know this already, is to practice patience. I actually have 3 siblings. 10 years po agwat namin. So that's the age difference, no? I know how it feels like to say things over and over and over and over again, but they still don't get it. But trust me po, parents and teachers, they will understand. Okay? We just need more patience to explain it to them and to tell it to them. Okay? So again, it will be difficult, but it is definitely achievable. Okay? When we enforce routines, we should remember these 2 things: consistency and patience. Okay? Again, the things you saw, all right, a while ago are the ones that worked for my class. I'm sharing them because I hope that it helps your class as well. The ones that I shared are results already of 3 weeks of being with my kids, my grade 1A boys. Yes, I can't share a screenshot of our class because we take photos and privacy, data privacy, very seriously. Okay? But whenever we take our Friday photos, because we always take our Friday photos, I feel that my 1A boys are very, very happy. Again, teachers, it's not impossible. I hope this helped all of you. And please remember that we all believe in you. Lucia at Looks, cheers. Good luck.